He thought inviting his ex-wife would crush her spirit, but the moment she stepped into the Grand Regency, the balance of power shattered. A hush swept through the glittering hall as Monique emerged from a sleek black car in a deep blue gown, her twin sons flanking her like royal guards. Every gaze locked, every whisper froze. He believed she came at his mercy. Yet before the night was over, he'd face a choice that could cost him everything he'd built. The rain tapped softly against the window of their small rented apartment. Inside, Monique moved quietly, preparing a simple meal for her two boys. The cold air slipped through the cracked walls, matching the chill she still felt deep inside. Memories surfaced, her boyfriend's family turning their backs on her when she needed them most. No welcome, no warmth, only silence and closed doors. She paused, hands resting on the worn kitchen table, thinking about the nights she cried alone. But those tears didn't break her. They hardened her resolve. Her boys played nearby, unaware of the storm behind her eyes. This small space was all they had. It wasn't much, but it was home. And here, in the quiet and cold, she found the strength to keep going. Because love, her love for them, was enough to fight through any storm. She remembered the moment clearly, his eyes cold, his voice sharp. "I can't do this anymore," he said, turning away like she was a stranger. Monique held her belly, then wrapped her arms tightly around her unborn child. Tears fell as she rocked herself in that empty room, the silence louder than his words. She was alone, completely alone. But in that solitude, she found something fierce, a fire no rejection could snuff out. Her love for that child grew stronger than any fear or pain. She promised herself, no matter what, she would fight for them both. That broken moment was the beginning of her strength, a strength born not from support, but from the fierce grip of a mother's love. Monique's days were long and unforgiving. At the upscale restaurant where she worked, the air was thick with silent judgment. Wealthy guests glanced her way, their eyes sharp with disdain. Whispers floated behind her back, cutting deeper than any blade. A fellow server, someone she once trusted, spread rumors, painting her as unworthy as if her struggle was a crime. One night, a patron sneered, "This isn't your world, is it?" Her hands trembled as she poured drinks, but she forced a steady smile. Each insult was a weight, each cold glance a mountain she had to climb. Yet, Monique kept moving forward, driven by something no one could see, her unbreakable will. She wasn't just serving tables, she was fighting for a future. Her children depended on her strength, on her refusal to be broken. Every look of scorn only fueled her fire. In that sea of privilege and prejudice, she stood alone, but never defeated. Monique knew the hardest battles were fought quietly, between heartbeats, in the spaces no one noticed, and she was ready to win, no matter the cost. The phone rang late one evening. Monique answered, her heart tightening before she even spoke. On the other end was her oldest son, his voice trembling. "Mom, they said I don't belong, because of who we are." Tears slipped down his cheeks as he tried to explain. Friends had turned away. Whispers followed him in the hallways. He felt invisible, rejected. Monique fought back her own tears, swallowing the ache to stay strong for him. She whispered, "You belong here. You belong everywhere." But the pain lingered, an invisible weight between mother and son. How do you protect a child from a world that judges by skin color? How do you fight when the wounds are unseen? She wanted to hold him, to make it all go away. But sometimes love is just listening through the phone, feeling helpless. And in that silence, a question hung heavy. Could they rise above the hate? Could they find a place to truly belong? The landlord's knock was firm, but not unkind. Monique handed over the rent, the worn bills pressed tightly in her hand. Inside, her heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. "We're going to be okay," she told her boys, forcing a smile. She didn't want them to see the worry beneath her calm. They needed hope, not fear. She tucked the rent receipt away, a small victory in a long battle. The weight of the world didn't disappear, but for tonight, she chose strength. Her sons played nearby, unaware of the sacrifices behind her smile. Monique knew the road ahead was rough, but every step forward was a promise she made for them. To rise, to survive, to build something better, and sometimes all it took was a simple word of encouragement to light a path through the darkness. In that moment, she was not just a mother paying rent. She was their rock, their quiet hero, and as they sat together, she whispered one more time, "We're stronger than this. We will get through." The house was quiet except for the soft glow of Monique's laptop screen. Her eyes were heavy, shadows dark beneath them, a map of sleepless nights. Still, she pressed on, scrolling through lessons, taking notes by the dim light of a small lamp. Every page was a step toward something bigger, a future she could build for her boys. Outside, the world slept, unaware of the battles fought in rooms like this one. Her fingers ached, her mind tired, but her will burned brighter than any exhaustion. In the darkness, she was a lone light, steady and unwavering. No one cheered her on, no applause greeted her efforts, just the quiet hum of determination. She imagined her sons watching her, learning what it meant to never give up. This was her rebellion against fate, her promise that they wouldn't just survive, they'd thrive. Night after night she carved a path from shadows to hope, and with every lesson learned, every hour spent, that light grew stronger. Monique was proof that even in the darkest hours, a single spark can ignite a fire. Monique waited nervously outside the manager's office. She had worked hard, stayed late, learned every skill. She believed this promotion was within reach, but the words that came back cut deeper than she expected. "You're not the right fit for our clientele," her manager said coldly. No explanation. No chance to prove herself further. Just a simple rejection that felt like a door slammed shut. Monique swallowed the lump in her throat. She thought about her boys, the future she dreamed of for them. But tonight, those dreams seemed farther away. Her reflection in the dark window showed tired eyes and clenched fists. The world had set a line, and she was on the wrong side. Still, she refused to let that line define her. This wasn't the end, it was fuel. Because sometimes being told you don't belong only sharpens the hunger to prove them wrong. And Monique's fight was just beginning. The envelope lay on the kitchen table, elegant and cold. Monique stared at it, her name printed in neat script. A wedding invitation. From the man who left her when she needed him most. Her hands trembled as she picked it up, memories flooding back, pain, anger, and a quiet, burning resolve. This was more than an invitation. It was a challenge. She folded the card slowly, a small smile playing at her lips. They wanted to see her broken, forgotten. But she was neither. Monique looked at her boys, their innocent faces full of hope. For them, she would walk through fire. For them, she would show the world her strength. This invitation marked a new beginning, one she was ready to face head-on. The fight wasn't over. It had just taken on a new shape, and Monique was ready. Monique stood before the mirror, the soft light casting shadows on her determined face. Her dress hung carefully on the hanger, a deep midnight blue, simple but powerful. She ran her fingers over the fabric, feeling the weight of the night ahead pressing on her shoulders. Her eyes were steady, serious. No room for doubt or fear. This wasn't just about a dress, it was armor, a statement. She thought about the long journey. Every tear she had shed alone, every sleepless night spent worrying, every whispered promise made to herself and her boys. The reflection staring back wasn't the woman who had once been left behind and broken. It was someone stronger, someone who had survived storms no one else could see. Her sons waited patiently in the next room, dressed sharply and ready to stand beside her. Tonight, they would face the world together. Monique took a deep breath and nodded at her reflection, steeling herself. She was ready, steady, unbreakable, and more determined than ever to show everyone she belonged. Because this night was more than a wedding, it was her moment to reclaim her story. Just as Monique's business gained momentum, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. Suppliers raised their prices unexpectedly, squeezing margins and threatening her carefully balanced budget. Orders piled up, but cash flow tightened, forcing her to make tough decisions about priorities. The pressure weighed heavily, each late night filled with numbers, negotiations, and restless thoughts. Monique felt the familiar sting of doubt creeping in, testing her resolve and patience. Her team looked to her for answers, their hope resting on her strength. She couldn't afford to falter, not when so much was at stake. The weight of responsibility felt immense, the line between perseverance and exhaustion dangerously thin. Competitors grew fierce, and the market's unpredictability made every move feel like a gamble. Monique wrestled with fear of failure, the haunting question of whether she could protect the future she'd worked so hard to build. Yet, beneath the strain, a fierce determination burned brighter than ever. She reminded herself why she started. For her sons, for the mothers she inspired, for the woman she refused to let break. Every challenge was another test of her grit, a chance to grow stronger and smarter. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Monique faced it head-on, ready to fight with everything she had, because giving up was never an option. Just when the weight of the challenge seemed unbearable, Monique felt a wave of unexpected support wash over her. The community she had nurtured rallied around her, offering encouragement, resources, and practical help. Mothers she had taught stepped forward with offers to assist, sharing contacts and spreading the word about her business. Local organizations extended support through grants and mentorship programs, recognizing her impact and potential. Orders started to flow steadily again, relieving some of the financial pressure that had threatened to overwhelm her. Monique's spirits lifted as she realized she was not alone in this fight. Her network of allies became a fortress of strength, each act of kindness a brick in a wall of resilience. Together, they found creative solutions, negotiating better supplier deals, pooling resources, and brainstorming new ideas. The energy in the community was contagious, turning uncertainty into opportunity. Monique embraced the warmth of connection and the power of collective effort. This support was more than just business, it was a reminder of the human bonds that sustain us through the toughest times. As the crisis eased, Monique felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. She knew challenges would come again, but now she faced them fortified by the love and strength of her community. In this moment, she understood that success wasn't just about individual grit, it was about the people who walk beside you, and together they were unstoppable. Sitting quietly in her new home, Monique took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought her here. The road had been long, filled with heartbreak, struggle, and countless moments of doubt. But it had also been rich with unexpected kindness, unwavering support, and shared victories. Her thoughts turned to the mothers she met, the friends who stood by her, and the strangers who became allies. Each person had played a vital role in lifting her up when she needed it most. Monique felt a deep gratitude swelling in her heart, thankful not just for the successes, but for the community that had embraced her. She knew she couldn't have made it this far alone. Their faith, encouragement, and belief had been a lifeline through the darkest days. This gratitude fueled her resolve to give back, to be a source of strength for others walking similar paths. She whispered a quiet thank you to every hand that reached out, every smile that offered hope. Monique's journey was a testament to the power of connection, love, and shared humanity. And as she looked forward, she carried that gratitude as a guiding light, a reminder that success is sweeter when it's built together with heart and soul. This was more than a story of triumph, it was a story of thanks, of paying forward the kindness that saved her. The morning light filtered through the window as Monique prepared for the biggest event of her career yet. Her reflection stared back with fierce determination. A woman transformed by trials, fueled by purpose. Every detail mattered. The carefully chosen outfit, the notes meticulously reviewed, the calm breathing to steady her nerves. This was more than a public appearance. It was a statement of how far she had come. She thought of the journey behind her, the sacrifices, the late nights, the moments she almost gave up. But those memories only strengthened her resolve. Today, she would stand not just for herself, but for every mother, every dreamer who believed in a better future. Her sons watched quietly, their pride shining in their eyes, reminding her of why she fought so hard. Monique stepped into the car, the hum of the engine matching the steady rhythm of her heart. With each passing mile, her confidence grew, the weight of doubt replaced by anticipation. This event could open doors that once seemed unreachable, new opportunities to expand her mission and impact. She visualized the audience, the faces waiting to hear her story and the lessons she carried. Monique was ready to inspire, to lead, to make her mark. The path ahead was bright, illuminated by her unyielding spirit and the love that carried her forward. This moment was a new beginning, charged with possibility and the promise of even greater triumphs to come. Each of us holds the power to become the hero of our own story. True strength isn't about being flawless, it's about having the courage to stand up again and again. Behind every struggle lies a silent fight, unseen victories, and a spirit that refuses to break. Your story matters more than you know, and it's never too late to start writing a new chapter. Believe in yourself. Chase your dreams relentlessly. Keep moving forward, no matter what. Together, we can turn hope into reality. So tell me, what will your story be? The phone rang again, sharp and sudden in the quiet of the night. Monique answered, her heart tightening instantly. It was her youngest son, voice barely above a whisper. "Mom, They called me names again." She listened as he described the cruel words, the harsh stares from classmates. His small voice trembled, fighting back tears. She could almost see him standing alone in the schoolyard, isolated and hurt. Monique's chest ached. This was the battle no mother wants to face, but she kept her voice calm, steady, a safe harbor in the storm. "I'm proud of you," she said softly. "You're stronger than their words." She pictured his tiny shoulders, weighed down by invisible burdens, but also his brave eyes, shining with hope. Her love wrapped around him, even miles away. That phone call was more than just words. It was a reminder of the world they had to fight, and the strength they needed to carry on. In that moment, Monique promised, no matter how hard it got, she would be there, to catch him when he fell, to stand beside him always. The restaurant buzzed with chatter, but Monique felt all eyes on her again. A wealthy customer snapped at her, voice dripping with disdain. "This isn't how I asked for my order," he sneered, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Her hands clenched, but she kept her composure. Nearby, a co-worker smirked, whispering to others, making sure she caught every word. "They don't think you belong here," the co-worker muttered under her breath. Monique's smile faded, replaced by a quiet fire. Every insult, every glance piled on like stones in her pocket, but she carried them all without breaking. Serving tables was more than a job, it was a battleground. Each shift tested her strength, her patience, her will to keep going. She thought of her boys waiting at home, their future tied to her grit. And despite the weight of every harsh word, Monique refused to be invisible. Because beneath every scornful look was a woman who had already faced worse, and she was still standing, still fighting, still rising. The night was quiet as Monique walked alone down the empty streets. Her footsteps echoed softly on the pavement, blending with the distant hum of the city. The cold air bit at her skin, but inside, a deeper chill weighed heavy on her heart. She thought about the day, the insults, the rejection, the loneliness that seemed to follow her like a shadow. What was she really fighting for? Was it just survival, or something more? Her mind raced with questions that had no easy answers. Could she build a better life for her sons in a world that seemed stacked against them? Would they ever be free from the pain of being judged? The streetlights flickered above, casting long shadows that danced around her. She pulled her coat tighter, as if to hold herself together. In the silence, she whispered to herself, "How much more can I take?" But even in that dark moment, there was a flicker of something stronger, hope. Hope that tomorrow could be different. Hope that her love could break through the barriers. As she paused beneath a flickering lamp, Monique looked up at the stars, searching for a sign that she wasn't alone, that she could keep walking forward. The landlord's voice was cold and sharp as he stood in the doorway. "The rent's going up next month," he said, folding his arms. Monique's heart sank, but she nodded slowly. "I understand," she replied softly, trying to keep her voice steady. "But I can't afford more right now." He looked at her with no sympathy. "If you can't pay, you'll have to leave." The words hit like a punch, harsh, final. She swallowed the lump in her throat, feeling the walls close in around her. Her boys played quietly nearby, unaware of the storm gathering outside their door. Monique forced a smile, hiding the fear twisting inside her. This wasn't just about money, it was about losing the only place they called home. She thought about the long nights spent counting every dollar, every cent. About the sacrifices she made so they could have a roof over their heads. Now, even that was threatened. But despite the weight of the threat, Monique's resolve hardened. She wouldn't let them lose everything, not without a fight. This was her home, her family's refuge, and she was ready to do whatever it took to keep it. After the landlord left, Monique sat down, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Emily, her coworker, someone she hadn't expected much from. "Hey, I heard about the rent hike. You're stronger than you think. Don't give up." The words were simple but carried a warmth Monique hadn't felt in a long time. Later that day, Emily stopped by with a small bag of groceries. "I know it's tough, but you're not alone," she said quietly. Monique looked up, surprised by the kindness. It was a reminder that even in the hardest times, there are people who see your struggle and want to help. Sometimes, strength comes not just from within, but from those who stand beside you. For a moment, the walls around Monique's heart softened. Hope flickered like a candle in the dark. She wasn't invisible. And maybe, just maybe, the road ahead wouldn't be so lonely after all. Emily's kindness was a small light, a human connection that helped Monique believe in better days. Because even when the world turns its back, one hand reaching out can change everything. Monique stood alone in front of the mirror, her eyes searching her reflection. The woman staring back had been through storms no one saw, the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the endless fights to keep going. Her jaw tightened as she whispered softly, "This is my time. This is when I stand up." No more hiding, no more doubting. She saw not just a survivor, but a fighter ready to claim what was hers. Every scar told a story of strength. Every shadow held a lesson learned. Her hands clenched into fists, trembling with quiet power. She thought about her boys. Their future depended on her courage tonight. Could she rise above the pain and make them proud? She knew the road ahead was uncertain, filled with battles still to come. But in that moment, Monique chose hope over fear. She chose to stand tall, even when the world tried to push her down. And now, she wanted to ask you, have you ever faced a moment where you had to decide to rise? What gave you the strength to keep going when everything felt impossible? Because sometimes, the hardest step is simply standing up and saying, "I'm not done yet." Monique stepped through the grand entrance of the wedding hall, the soft hum of conversation halting instantly. Eyes turned sharply, scanning her from head to toe. Whispers fluttered like shadows in the air, curious, skeptical, some edged with disdain. She felt their gazes like weighty stones pressing down on her shoulders. These were not welcoming looks. They were silent questions, sharp and unspoken. Who was she to walk into this world now? The woman they had dismissed. The past they wanted to forget. But Monique held her head high, her sons close by her side, their quiet confidence a shield against the cold judgment. She wasn't here to beg or explain. She was here to be seen, to claim the space she had earned through pain and perseverance. The room pulsed with tension, a battle of silent wills. Would they accept her presence? Or would she be pushed back into the shadows? In that moment, Monique knew the night was more than a wedding. It was the turning point, and she was ready to face whatever came next, unshaken and proud. Monique walked into the grand hall with the quiet confidence that silenced the murmurs. Her dress was elegant, but it was her presence that spoke loudest. Behind her, her two sons stood tall in sharp black suits, like princes claiming their place in a world that once tried to erase them. No hesitation, no fear. The guests who had doubted her now saw a different woman, one transformed by struggle, fueled by determination. She moved with purpose, each step a statement. I belong here. The shock rippled through the room. Whispers turned to gasps, surprise mixed with respect. This was not the broken woman they remembered. This was someone new, someone powerful. The man who had invited her looked on, stunned. He had expected humiliation, but instead, he faced undeniable strength. Monique's eyes met his with calm resolve. She wasn't here to fight words or past mistakes. She was here to show what true victory looked like, silent, unshakable, and real. This was her moment of truth, and she owned it completely. The room shifted. The story had changed, and Monique had rewritten the ending. He stood frozen near the entrance, eyes fixed on the three figures moving through the crowd. Monique's presence was strong, but it was the two boys beside her that caught him off guard. He studied their faces, so familiar, yet so distant. The sharpness in their eyes, the way they carried themselves, it was impossible to deny. They were his sons. The shock hit him harder than any insult or rejection. For years, he had tried to erase this part of his life. But here they were, standing tall, undeniable, a living reminder of everything he had walked away from. His voice caught in his throat. No anger, no jealousy, just a raw, quiet panic. He realized in that moment what he had lost and what he might never get back. His carefully constructed world suddenly felt fragile. The truth he buried deep was staring him down, bold and unshaken. Monique didn't need to say a word. Her sons spoke volumes, and he was left to face a reality he could no longer ignore. This was more than a reunion. It was a reckoning. Monique stepped forward, the room growing quiet as all eyes turned to her. Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of years spent fighting to be seen and heard. "This night isn't just about a wedding," she began. "It's about the right to live with dignity, regardless of where we come from or the color of our skin." She looked at the crowd, challenging every whispered doubt and every hidden prejudice. "We are more than the labels they put on us, more than the doors slammed in our faces, more than the silence when we need a voice." Her sons stood beside her, proud and strong, a living testament to resilience and love. This is our fight. For respect, for equality, for the simple right to exist without judgment. Her words hung in the air, heavy and powerful. She wasn't asking for permission. She was declaring a truth that no one could ignore. The room shifted. What had started as whispers of doubt transformed into a growing respect. Monique's message was clear. They would no longer be invisible. And her fight was everyone's fight. Because justice isn't given. It's claimed. And tonight, they claimed their place. Monique's voice echoed as the room faded into memories. Dark nights hunched over textbooks, fingers raw from endless typing. She saw herself juggling 2 jobs, tired but never broken, pushing through every no and every closed door. Flashbacks of lonely dinners, whispered prayers, and quiet tears came alive. The fear of losing her home, the pain of watching her boys struggle. But then, the present returned, her steady gaze, the calm strength in her posture. Her sons beside her, faces shining with pride and hope. She spoke of the long road, the battles fought not with weapons but with courage and love. Each setback was a lesson, each hardship a stepping stone. The journey was far from easy, but it forged her into the woman standing tall today. Her words carried a steady rhythm, a pulse of resilience that filled the room. It was more than a story of survival. It was a story of relentless determination. Monique's past and present intertwined, showing the power of never giving up. For those listening, it was a call to remember. Strength is born in the hardest moments, and victory belongs to those who refuse to quit. The room shifted subtly as Monique's words settled over the crowd. Whispers that once carried doubt now carried curiosity. Guests who had stared with suspicion began to nod, their expressions softening. What was once a sea of judgment turned into a ripple of respect. Conversations paused. Eyes held longer. They saw not the woman they had underestimated, but someone who had faced unimaginable odds and risen. Some whispered about her strength, others about her son's poise. The atmosphere changed, charged with a new energy. A shared recognition that Monique's story was not just hers, it was a testament to the resilience of many. Guests approached quietly, offering smiles and handshakes, silent acknowledgments of her courage. The invisible barriers began to crumble. No longer an outsider, Monique was slowly becoming a symbol of hope and triumph. Her presence was a reminder that true power lies not in status or wealth, but in unyielding spirit. And as the room's warmth grew, the shift was clear. This was not just a moment. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where respect replaced judgment, and where Monique stood at the center, unshaken and honored. Landon stood quietly beside his mother, his small hand resting gently on her arm. His eyes shone with pride, reflecting the strength he saw in her. He wasn't just a boy watching a woman speak. He was a witness to a warrior who had fought for their future. In that moment, Monique felt the weight of his gaze, a silent encouragement that lifted her spirit even higher. She looked down and smiled softly, squeezing his hand. This was more than a public moment. It was a testament to the bond they shared. A bond forged in hardship, in late nights, and in endless sacrifices. Her sons weren't just bystanders. They were part of her story, her motivation, her reason to rise. She thought about the nights they held each other close, the promises whispered in the dark. And now, here they were, standing tall together, facing a world that once tried to tear them apart. Landon's quiet pride was a beacon, a reminder that love had carried them through. No matter the challenges ahead, they were stronger together. His steady presence was a living proof of her strength, a symbol of love that never wavered. In his eyes, she saw hope, courage, and the unspoken promise of better days to come, and that was all she needed to keep moving forward. Monique's voice grew stronger, filled with a deep, unwavering conviction. "Tonight, we stand not just for ourselves," she said, her gaze sweeping the room, "but for every person who has been told they don't belong. Because dignity isn't just about wealth or status. It's about the right to live freely, to love openly, to be seen for who we are." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. Fame and fortune mean nothing if they don't come with respect. But love is the true power. Her sons looked up at her, their eyes shining with understanding. Love is what carries us through the darkest nights. It's what builds families, communities, and futures. In the face of prejudice, love is our fiercest weapon. And the right to live with dignity is not a privilege, it's a fundamental human right. The room was silent, every heart beating in quiet agreement. Monique's message wasn't just a speech, it was a promise. A promise that no matter the obstacles, their worth would never be defined by others, and that love, above all, would be their legacy. In that moment, the crowd didn't just see a woman, they saw a movement. A call to recognize that true greatness lies in our humanity and love. The room remained still as Monique finished her words. All eyes turned toward the man who had once held so much power over her life. He stood silently, shoulders heavy with a weight no one else could see. His face lowered slowly, eyes fixed on the polished floor beneath him. No defense, no excuses, just a quiet acknowledgement of what he had lost. The confident facade he once wore was gone, replaced by a raw vulnerability. For the first time he was speechless. His silence spoke louder than any words ever could. It was a moment of reckoning, an unspoken admission that his choices had consequences. Monique didn't gloat or gash with anger. She stood tall, calm, victorious in her silence. The power had shifted, and the room felt it deeply. In that heavy pause, everyone understood. This was not just a personal victory. It was a turning point, a twist that no one expected but everyone felt. The man who tried to erase her past was now confronted with a future she had built without him, and in his silence she found her final triumph. Monique stepped out into the cool night, the soft glow of street lamps casting a warm light over her and her sons. The noise of the party faded behind them, replaced by a quiet calm that wrapped around their small family. Her boys walked close, hands tucked into their pockets, faces glowing with a mix of pride and relief. For the first time in a long while, Monique felt the weight lift, the burden of proving herself, the endless battles for acceptance. Tonight, they didn't need to say a word. The silence between them spoke volumes: love, resilience, and a future they would build together. The city lights shimmered ahead, a promise of new beginnings and endless possibilities. She glanced at her sons, their heads held high, unafraid to face whatever came next. This moment was more than an end. It was a gentle release, a soft breath after a storm. Monique knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but in the glow of the night, she found peace, a quiet victory that no one could take away. And as they walked into the darkness, the warmth of the light behind them lingered, a reminder that even after the hardest battles, hope remains. Together, they were ready to face whatever dawn awaited. As they walked home under the quiet sky, Monique took her son's hands gently in hers. She looked down at them, eyes filled with love and a deep sense of purpose. "Always remember," she began softly, "the most important thing is to be true to yourself. No matter what others say or think, your worth comes from within." Her voice carried the weight of hard-earned lessons about courage, honesty, and self-respect. You don't have to change to fit anyone's mold. Your strength is in who you are, not in what others expect. Landon and Jace listened quietly, their small faces serious but bright with understanding. Monique continued, "Life will try to shape you, to make you less than you are. But you have the power to choose your path, to stand tall even when it's hard." She squeezed their hands gently. "And when you live honestly and with love, you inspire others to do the same." This wasn't just a lesson, it was a promise that no matter where life took them, they would always have each other. And most importantly, they would always have themselves. In that quiet moment, Monique knew her sons carried more than hope. They carried the legacy of truth and strength. Monique's mind drifted back to the early days, small, cramped rooms where silence was louder than words. She remembered the nights when the only light was a flickering bulb, and hope felt like a distant dream. She saw herself hunched over a worn table, textbooks spread around, eyes heavy with exhaustion. The weight of loneliness pressed down, and every day felt like a struggle just to keep going. Then her thoughts shifted to now. The soft glow of the ballroom lights, the confident stride she took, and the proud faces of her sons beside her. No longer hidden in shadows, she was standing tall in a world that once seemed impossible to enter. The contrast was stark, from despair to dignity, from silence to strength. Her journey wasn't just about survival, it was about transformation. Every tear shed, every barrier faced, every moment of doubt was now a stepping stone to this moment. Monique realized that pain and triumph were intertwined, each giving meaning to the other. Her past was not a chain, but a foundation, a source of power she could never lose, and in that reflection, she found peace. Because she had not only changed her life, she had rewritten her story, and that was the greatest victory of all. That night, Monique sat down and shared her story online. Raw, honest, and unfiltered. She wrote about the pain, the struggles, and the quiet victories that shaped her journey. Within hours, her words spread like wildfire. Thousands of likes, shares, and comments poured in from people around the world. Strangers sent messages of support, sharing their own battles and hopes. Some thanked her for giving voice to what they had suffered in silence. Others debated, challenged, but all were drawn into her story's power. The screen glowed softly as Monique read each message, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and humility. This was more than just a post. It was a movement, a call to stand up, to speak out, and to choose courage over fear. She knew not everyone would understand or agree, but the question now was clear: where did they stand? Would they choose to uplift and believe in strength born from struggle, or would they stay silent in the face of injustice? Monique's story was out there now, reaching hearts and sparking change, and she invited everyone watching to join her, to stand for truth, dignity, and love. Because sometimes, one voice is enough to start a revolution. Are you ready to be that voice? As the story spread and hearts were touched, Monique knew this was only the beginning. Her journey was far from over. The battles she faced, the dreams she chased, they still lay ahead. But now, she wasn't alone. Her voice had reached beyond walls and barriers, connecting with countless others who carried their own stories of struggle and hope. The fight for dignity, respect, and love continued, not just for her family, but for all who had been overlooked or dismissed. Monique looked forward with quiet determination, knowing the path would still be tough. But she also knew the power of resilience, the strength found in unity, and the promise of new chapters waiting to be written. This story wasn't just hers. It belonged to everyone who had ever been told they didn't belong. And together they would keep moving forward, stronger, louder, and unbreakable. So, this isn't a goodbye. It's a call to stay with her on the journey, because the story isn't finished. It's just unfolding. And the next chapter? Well, that's still waiting to be written, with you. Monique stepped quietly into their small rented home, the night still warm from the evening's glow. She moved slowly to the window and looked out at the city lights twinkling like distant stars. The skyline was alive with promise, a sea of colors shimmering through the darkness. For a moment she let herself breathe in the beauty and the silence. Her heart was heavy with memories, of struggles that seemed endless, of nights spent wondering if she would ever reach this point. But now, standing here, she felt something different, a quiet strength rising from within. Each step she took tonight had been more than just a walk through a grand hall. It was a step away from pain, from doubt, from the past that tried to hold her back. It was a step toward hope, toward a future she was determined to build. She whispered softly to herself, every step today was a step beyond the past, a new beginning. The city lights reflected in her eyes, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light can be found. Her son's laughter echoed from the next room, grounding her in the present. Monique knew the road ahead would still be filled with challenges, but for the first time in a long time, she felt ready. Ready to keep moving forward, to keep building, to keep shining, because this was her life, one she was choosing to live fully, on her own terms. Landon sat quietly beside his mother, his young eyes searching hers with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. "Mom," he asked softly, "do you think we can really change our lives?" Monique smiled gently, reaching out to squeeze his hand. Her other son, Jace, leaned in, listening closely. She took a deep breath, her voice calm but filled with unwavering conviction. "We won't just wait for life to change us," she said. "We will build the life we want, brick by brick, together." Landon's eyes brightened, the weight of doubt lifting just a little. Monique continued, "No matter where we started or what we've been through, we have the power to create something new. It won't always be easy, but as long as we have each other, we can face anything." Her sons nodded, feeling the strength in her words. In that small, simple moment, the room filled with a quiet promise, a promise that their future was theirs to shape. Monique looked at her boys, her heart full. They were more than her children. They were her partners in hope and determination. Together, they would write a new story, one of courage, love, and endless possibility. The phone rang just as Monique was settling in for the evening. She hesitated before answering, unsure who might be on the other end. "Hello, is this Monique?" a confident voice asked. "Yes, this is she," Monique replied, curiosity sparking. "I'm calling from a local investment firm," the voice continued. We've heard about your story and your determination. We believe in what you're building." Monique's heart quickened as the man explained an opportunity, a chance to partner and grow her business beyond what she had imagined. This was more than just a call. It was a lifeline, a bridge from struggle to success. She listened carefully, absorbing every detail, every promise of support. Her mind raced with possibilities, what this could mean for her sons, for their future. But beneath the excitement was a calm determination. She knew this was the moment she had worked toward in silence, the moment when her hard work could finally pay off. Monique felt a surge of hope, a spark that ignited her belief in tomorrow. With this opportunity, the path ahead was clearer, brighter, and full of promise. She thanked the caller, her voice steady but filled with quiet joy. This was a new beginning, a chance to build the life they deserved. In the small kitchen of their rented apartment, Monique spread out a worn notebook and a few pens on the table. Her sons gathered around, eyes wide with excitement and curiosity. "This is where our new journey begins," she said softly, her voice steady and full of hope. They leaned in as she explained the plan, how they would start a small business together. Each had a role to play, no matter how big or small. Landon would help with customer calls and deliveries. Jace was eager to assist with packaging and keeping things organized. Monique smiled, watching their enthusiasm grow. The kitchen, once just a place for meals, now felt like a workshop of dreams. The scent of hope mingled with the everyday smells of home, spices, fresh bread, and determination. Every detail mattered, from budgeting to marketing to the care put into each product. They worked late into the evening, laughter and ideas filling the cramped space. This was more than a business plan. It was a symbol of their resilience, a new beginning born from hard work, love, and unbreakable spirit. In that humble kitchen, Monique and her sons planted the seeds of their future, and together they were ready to watch it grow. The morning sun cast a gentle glow as Monique loaded the first batch of orders into her car. Her hands moved carefully, ensuring every package was secure and ready to go. There was a nervous excitement bubbling beneath her calm exterior. This was more than just a delivery. It was the first step toward a dream coming true. As she drove through the quiet streets, her mind raced with hope and possibility. Would the customers like her products? Would this be the beginning of something bigger? Her eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of her reflection, determined and hopeful. The weight of the past felt lighter today. Every mile brought her closer to a new chapter. At the customer's doorstep, she rang the bell, heart pounding. A smile greeted her, a simple, warm thank you that made all the hard work feel worthwhile. Monique handed over the package with pride, realizing this small moment held immense meaning. It was proof that with persistence and love, change was possible. The journey was just starting, but her spirit soared with every step. She climbed back into the car, ready to deliver not just goods, but hope to every door she approached. Monique's heart lifted as the customer opened the package with genuine curiosity. A warm smile spread across the customer's face as they took in the care and detail in every item. "This is incredible," the customer said, voice filled with surprise and admiration. "You can really taste the love and dedication in these products." Those words hit Monique like a wave of light, washing away doubts that lingered in the back of her mind. For so long she had battled invisibility, judgment, and endless setbacks. Now, this simple praise felt like a victory, a sign that her hard work was reaching beyond her small kitchen, touching lives. The customer's eyes sparkled with encouragement, and Monique felt a deep connection, a shared belief in possibility and growth. "That's just the beginning," Monique replied, her voice steady but filled with hope. Each compliment was a building block, strengthening her resolve to keep moving forward. The day's success wasn't just about sales. It was about faith in herself and in the future she was creating for her family. As she packed up the empty boxes, Monique carried with her more than just gratitude. She carried renewed confidence, a belief that no matter the challenges ahead, she could rise. And this time, she wasn't alone. Word spread quickly about Monique's new venture and early successes. At her former workplace, whispers filled the break room as coworkers exchanged glances. A mix of surprise and envy flickered in their eyes. "How did she do it?" one murmured, voice low but edged with disbelief. "She was just the janitor," another said, shaking her head. Their skepticism was tinged with something sharper, resentment. Some remembered the days they had looked down on her, doubted her abilities, dismissed her dreams. Now, seeing her rise stirred a confusing mix of admiration and jealousy. They wondered if they had missed something, or if she had somehow broken the rules they all lived by. Behind the polite smiles and casual chatter lay unspoken questions. Could Monique really change her stars? Would her success shift the dynamics they had taken for granted? For Monique, these reactions were a new kind of challenge, a reminder that the path to change wasn't just about overcoming external obstacles, but also the doubts and judgments of those around her. Yet, beneath it all, her determination only grew stronger, because she knew that true success wasn't about fitting in, it was about standing out, no matter the cost. And this new conflict, like all before it, was just another step on her journey forward. When Monique received a call from her son's school about bullying incidents, her heart sank. She knew this was more than typical schoolyard drama. It was a harsh reminder of the prejudices they still faced daily. At the school meeting, Monique sat across from the principal and teachers, her expression firm but composed. She described the hurt her son endured: name-calling, exclusion, and whispered insults that cut deep. The school staff listened, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Monique's voice grew stronger as she insisted on action, not just words, but real steps to protect her son and others like him. "This isn't just about one child," she said, eyes locked on the adults before her. "It's about creating a safe space where every student feels valued, regardless of their background." She challenged the school to confront the systemic biases that allowed such behavior to persist. The room grew tense as the reality of the situation settled in. Monique's fight was no longer just personal. It was part of a broader battle against discrimination and injustice. She left the meeting determined to hold the school accountable and to ensure her son would no longer face such cruelty alone. This was a new front in her ongoing journey, one that demanded courage, persistence, and unwavering love. Because protecting her children meant standing up, even when the world resisted change. The community center buzzed with anticipation as Monique prepared for her first product launch. Tables were set with colorful displays, showcasing the fruits of months of hard work and dedication. Friends, neighbors, and local supporters gathered, curious and eager to see what she had created. Monique greeted each guest with a warm smile, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. As people sampled her products, their faces lit up with genuine delight. "This is amazing," one attendee exclaimed. "I can taste the passion in every bite." The room filled with laughter, chatter, and a shared sense of celebration. Monique's journey had touched their hearts, and now her success was becoming part of their story. Local business owners approached her with offers of collaboration and support, recognizing the potential and spirit behind her work. For Monique, this wasn't just a sales event, it was a turning point. A moment where community embraced her dreams and fueled her determination. The positive energy was contagious, spreading hope and inspiring others to believe in second chances and new beginnings. As the event wrapped up, Monique felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had not only introduced her product but also sparked a connection that went beyond commerce. Together, they were building something stronger, a future grounded in resilience, love, and shared success. A local journalist sat across from Monique in the cozy corner of a cafe, notebook in hand, eyes attentive. "Your story has inspired so many," the reporter began. Monique smiled softly, her gaze steady. She spoke openly about the struggles she'd faced, being overlooked, judged, and pushed aside, but also about the strength she found in love, determination, and community support. As she shared her journey, her words painted vivid pictures of resilience and hope. The reporter listened, captivated by Monique's honesty and courage. Within days, the interview was published, spreading across social media and news outlets. Comments poured in, messages of encouragement from strangers who saw themselves in her story. Monique became a symbol of strength for many, a beacon of hope shining through adversity. Her story was no longer just her own. It belonged to a wider community hungry for inspiration. The image of a determined mother building her dreams against all odds resonated deeply. For Monique, the interview wasn't just about recognition. It was a chance to uplift others, to show that no matter where you start, the future is yours to create. As the story spread, so did the message. Resilience, love, and courage can change lives. And Monique stood at the heart of that message, proof that one voice can ignite a movement. Monique sat at her small kitchen table, scrolling through a flood of messages on her phone. Each one was a testament to the impact her story and products had made. From heartfelt thank yous to words of encouragement, the responses filled her with warmth and gratitude. One message read, "Your strength gives me hope. I'm fighting my own battles, and you remind me I'm not alone." Another said, "Your journey inspires me to chase my dreams, no matter how hard it gets." Monique smiled softly, tears welling in her eyes. This was more than business. It was a community growing around shared resilience and support. Every message was a thread, weaving a tapestry of connection between strangers bound by similar struggles. She replied to as many as she could, her heart lifted by the stories and kindness pouring in. This network of encouragement reminded her that her fight was part of something bigger, a movement fueled by hope and love. Monique felt less alone, knowing that through her journey she had sparked strength in others. The barriers between them blurred, replaced by a collective belief in the power of perseverance. With each new message, her resolve deepened. Together, they were creating a community where everyone's voice mattered, and no one had to face hardship in silence. Monique's phone buzzed repeatedly, the screen lighting up with his name. Messages, missed calls, attempts to reach out after years of silence. Each notification pulled at memories she had fought hard to leave behind. Her heart tightened, a mix of old pain and new strength battling within her. She stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the phone, torn between curiosity and self-preservation. Years of abandonment had left scars, deep wounds she refused to reopen. She remembered the nights she cried alone, the promises broken, and the dreams shattered. Now, standing tall on her own, Monique knew some bridges were meant to stay burned. She chose silence over the temptation of old words that once cut deep. This was her moment, not to be pulled back into the past, but to protect the future she was building. Her resolve hardened like steel, a quiet but fierce boundary drawn in the sand. No matter what he said, or how many times he tried, Monique would not waver. She owed herself and her sons the peace she had fought so hard to find. This wasn't about revenge or bitterness, it was about self-respect and healing. And, with every unanswered call, she reclaimed her power, stepping further into the life she deserved. Monique sat alone in the quiet of her living room, the soft hum of the city outside blending with the memories swirling in her mind. She closed her eyes and was instantly transported back to the darkest days, empty rooms, cold nights, and the ache of loneliness that seemed endless. The sharp sting of betrayal, the nights spent holding back tears so her sons wouldn't see her pain. But, just as those images surfaced, the present broke through, the warmth of laughter from her boys playing nearby, the soft glow of a life rebuilt piece by piece. She saw the contrast clearly, the struggle and the strength, the past and the hope intertwined. Her journey wasn't linear. It was a mosaic of pain and triumph, fear and courage. Monique felt the weight of both worlds, how far she had come and the distance still to travel. There was sadness, yes, but also a fierce pride in the woman she had become. She understood now that healing wasn't forgetting. It was accepting and growing beyond. Her heart held a quiet promise to carry both the scars and the victories as part of her story. And with that acceptance came peace. Monique opened her eyes, renewed and ready to face whatever lay ahead, because she was no longer defined by her past, but by the strength she chose to embrace. Monique stood by the window, watching the sunrise paint the sky with shades of gold and pink. The new day symbolized everything she had fought for, a fresh start, untarnished by the past. She made a firm decision in that quiet moment. No longer would she look back or allow old wounds to dictate her future. Her energy and focus were reserved for what truly mattered, building a life of strength, love, and opportunity for herself and her sons. The past was a chapter closed, a lesson learned, but not a place to live. She thought of all the sacrifices she had made, the long nights, the tears, the moments of doubt, and knew they had prepared her for this moment of clarity. Monique's path forward was clear and unwavering. She would nurture her dreams and teach her boys to believe in their own worth and potential. Together, they would rise above the limitations others tried to impose. Her story was no longer defined by loss or pain, but by resilience and hope. With a deep breath, she stepped away from the window, feeling lighter, freer. This was her truth, one of courage and relentless determination. And as the sun climbed higher, Monique embraced the promise of tomorrow, ready to face it head-on with open arms. Months later, Monique stood proudly in front of their new home, a spacious place filled with light and possibility. Gone were the cramped walls of their old apartment, replaced by rooms that echoed with laughter and hope. Her business had grown steadily, each sale and new customer a testament to her unwavering commitment. The hard work, late nights, and countless sacrifices had finally paid off. This home was more than just a building. It was a symbol of progress, resilience, and dreams realized. Monique watched her sons explore their new space, eyes wide with excitement and joy. She felt a surge of gratitude and pride, knowing that every challenge they had faced led them here. The community that once doubted her now celebrated her success. Friends and neighbors stopped by, sharing in the happiness of this milestone. For Monique, this achievement was a reminder that no matter where you start, with perseverance and love, you can build a future you never imagined. She reflected on the journey, the tears, the triumphs, the moments of doubt overcome by strength. This house wasn't just a shelter, it was a foundation for the life she was creating for her family. And as she locked the door behind her that evening, Monique smiled quietly. They had come so far, and this was only the beginning. Inside their new home, warmth and laughter filled the air like sunlight through open windows. Monique and her sons gathered around the kitchen table, sharing stories, dreams, and plans for the future. The walls echoed with playful chatter and the comforting sounds of family togetherness. For the first time in years, there was no heaviness, no shadow of past struggles, only joy and hope. Landon and Jace chased each other through the living room, their smiles bright and carefree. Monique watched them with a heart full of gratitude and pride, feeling the weight of all they had overcome. This space was more than bricks and mortar. It was a sanctuary built from love and determination. Every corner held a promise of new memories waiting to be made. Dinner was a simple affair, but the atmosphere was rich with celebration. They toasted with sparkling juice, their eyes shining with shared triumph. The little moments, the hugs, the laughter, the quiet smiles, wove together into a tapestry of happiness. In this home, Monique found peace and renewal, a reminder that after every storm, the sun shines again. And as night fell, the family settled in, hearts light and spirits lifted, ready to face tomorrow together. Monique's phone buzzed with an unexpected message, an invitation to speak at a prestigious women entrepreneurs event. The news felt surreal, a testament to how far she had come from those early days of struggle and doubt. She recalled the nights she worked tirelessly, the sacrifices made, and the relentless belief that carried her through. This invitation wasn't just an honor, it was recognition, a powerful acknowledgement of her resilience, courage, and success. As she prepared for the event, Monique felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She thought about the women she would meet, each with their own story of perseverance and triumph. Standing on that stage, she knew she would share more than her business journey. She would share a message of hope, strength, and the power of never giving up. The event was a gathering of voices united by determination and vision. Monique's story resonated deeply, inspiring others to believe in their dreams despite the obstacles. Her presence was a beacon, proof that even the toughest beginnings can lead to incredible achievements. As applause filled the room, Monique smiled quietly, humbled and empowered. This moment wasn't just about success, it was about the journey, the fight, and the unbreakable spirit that had brought her here. And as the spotlight shone down, she knew her story was far from over. It was only just beginning to inspire others. Monique stepped onto the stage, the spotlight warming her face as thousands of eyes focused on her. Her heart beat steadily, fueled by the weight of the moment and the power of the stories she carried. She began to speak, her voice calm but charged with passion. "This journey wasn't easy," she said, "but every struggle shaped who I am today." Her words painted vivid pictures of resilience, sacrifice, and unyielding hope. She spoke of the nights spent wondering if she could keep going, and the mornings that brought new chances. The audience hung on every sentence, moved by the raw honesty and strength she shared. Monique's story was not just about success, it was about the courage to rise after every fall. She urged everyone to believe in their power, to embrace their challenges as opportunities for growth. Her message resonated deeply, sparking tears, nods, and quiet applause throughout the hall. In that moment, she wasn't just a speaker, she was a beacon, a symbol of what's possible when determination meets love. Her voice carried across the room, reaching hearts hungry for hope and inspiration. As she finished, the crowd rose in a standing ovation, their cheers echoing with gratitude and admiration. Monique smiled, humbled but proud. She had shared her truth, and in doing so had ignited a fire in thousands of souls. This was the power of her story, the ability to transform pain into light and inspire others to do the same. As Monique stepped down from the stage, the room erupted in applause, thunderous and heartfelt. People approached her one by one, their faces shining with gratitude and admiration. A woman clasped Monique's hands, tears in her eyes. "Your story gave me the strength to keep going," she whispered. A young man nodded. "You showed me that no matter where I start, I can make something of myself." Each thank you was a reminder that Monique's journey wasn't just about her. It was about the countless lives she touched. The atmosphere buzzed with connection and shared hope. Strangers became allies, their stories intertwining in that moment of unity. Monique listened, humbled by the impact her words had on so many hearts. This was the true reward. Not fame or fortune, but the power to inspire real change. She smiled warmly, feeling the energy of the room lift her spirit higher. For every struggle she endured, every tear shed in silence, this was the payoff. A room full of people ready to believe, to fight, and to rise alongside her. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Monique knew this was only the beginning of a much larger journey, one where her voice, and the voices of those she inspired, would continue to echo far beyond that stage. The grand ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers casting soft light over elegantly dressed guests. Monique entered with quiet confidence, her presence commanding attention without a word. Her gown flowed gracefully, reflecting the glow of the room and the journey she had traveled to arrive here. Around her, influential figures from business and philanthropy engaged in lively conversations, their eyes drawn to the woman who had captured their admiration. Conversations paused briefly as Monique passed by, whispers of respect following in her wake. She greeted familiar faces with warm smiles, exchanging handshakes and kind words that spoke of newfound respect and opportunity. This event wasn't just a celebration, it was a testament to Monique's rising influence and growing impact. Her confidence radiated from within, a beacon of strength that illuminated the room. Though the setting was luxurious, Monique remained grounded, remembering the humble beginnings that shaped her. Every glance and conversation was a reminder of how far she'd come, from struggle to success, from silence to recognition. She mingled effortlessly, embracing the new connections and possibilities opening before her. In this moment, Monique embodied the power of perseverance and the promise of a future she was determined to shape. The night stretched on, filled with laughter, ideas, and the shared energy of ambition and hope. And as she moved through the crowd, her smile never faded, a quiet declaration that this was only the start. In the shadows of the grand ballroom, Monique's ex stood alone, watching her with a heavy heart. His eyes followed every confident step she took, every genuine smile she shared. There was a deep regret etched across his face, a silent acknowledgement of what he had lost. He remembered the moments he had taken for granted, the promises he had broken, and the pain he had caused. Seeing her now, radiant and unstoppable, stirred emotions he hadn't faced before. It was a painful reminder of his own mistakes and missed chances. He wondered how things might have been different if he had chosen love over pride. The crowd around them blurred as his thoughts pulled him deeper into the past. He felt the weight of years spent chasing power while she built something real. Though he stood among the elite, he felt smaller, overshadowed by the woman he once abandoned. His silence was loud, a testament to the remorse and longing he kept hidden. Watching Monique's strength and grace forced him to confront the truth. Some opportunities don't come twice. The night air outside beckoned him, but he remained rooted, trapped by his own regrets. And as Monique moved forward, glowing with promise, he was left to wrestle with a past he could no longer change. Later that evening, Monique found a quiet corner and struck up a conversation with a fellow guest, a successful entrepreneur with a warm smile and attentive eyes. They spoke about the winding roads that led each of them to this moment of recognition and hope. Monique shared stories of struggle and resilience, the nights spent doubting herself but choosing to keep going anyway. Her new friend nodded, understanding deeply the silent battles fought beneath the surface of success. They discussed the importance of inner strength, the kind that's forged through pain and nurtured by love. Monique reflected on how her journey had taught her that true power isn't about wealth or status. It's about owning your story, embracing your scars, and using them as fuel to rise higher. Her friend agreed, emphasizing how self-belief and perseverance create a foundation no obstacle can shake. They laughed over the challenges faced and the unexpected lessons learned along the way. The conversation shifted to the role of community, the power of shared experiences and mutual support in lifting each other up. Monique felt a renewed sense of purpose, inspired by this connection and the wisdom exchanged. It was a reminder that success is never solitary. It's woven from relationships, empathy, and courage. As they parted ways, Monique carried with her a deeper understanding of strength, not just surviving, but thriving with grace. This night, this conversation, became another chapter in her evolving story of hope and empowerment. The phone call came on a crisp autumn afternoon, its news carrying the weight of a dream fulfilled. Landon had been awarded a prestigious scholarship, recognition for his hard work and determination. Monique's heart swelled with pride as she shared the news with her sons. Joy erupted through their small home like sunlight breaking through clouds. Landon's smile was radiant, his eyes shining with hope and excitement for the future ahead. Jace hugged his brother tightly, his own dreams now feeling closer and more real. Monique looked at them both, tears of happiness quietly tracing her cheeks. This wasn't just Landon's success, it was a triumph for the whole family, a powerful reminder that the sacrifices and struggles were not in vain. Their journey had brought them to this moment of shared victory and promise. As they celebrated together, Monique felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and determination, but this achievement was only one chapter in their evolving story. What challenges and triumphs await the family next? Will this scholarship open new doors or present unexpected obstacles? Subscribe to our channel to follow Monique's inspiring journey and share your thoughts. What do you think will happen next? Together, we'll witness the unfolding path of hope, strength, and unstoppable love. Monique stood in the community hall, surrounded by a group of mothers who, like her, had faced hardship and uncertainty. Her voice was steady and warm as she shared her story, her journey from struggle to strength offering a beacon of hope. She listened intently as others opened up about their fears, their dreams, and the battles they fought every day. Together, they formed a circle of support, united by resilience and the desire to build better lives for their children. Monique led workshops on budgeting, self-care, and small business skills, empowering these women to take control of their futures. The room buzzed with energy, each woman inspired by the courage and determination radiating from Monique. She reminded them that they were not alone, that their strength and love could overcome even the darkest moments. Stories of success and survival were shared, laughter mingling with tears, creating bonds that lifted spirits and fueled hope. Monique's presence was a living testament to the power of community and the impact one voice can have. As the day ended, women exchanged hugs and promises to support one another beyond the walls of the hall. Monique left feeling renewed, knowing her journey had come full circle, transforming pain into purpose, isolation into solidarity. In helping others rise, she continued to rise herself, shaping a future where every mother and child could thrive. This was more than charity. It was a movement of empowerment, love, and unbreakable spirit. In a bright, sunlit room, Monique stood at the front, welcoming a group of eager mothers ready to learn. Her hands moved with purpose as she explained the basics of starting and managing a business. Each lesson was infused with the wisdom she had gained from years of trial and triumph. The women listened intently, taking notes and asking questions, hungry for knowledge and guidance. Monique encouraged them to believe in their potential, reminding them that every successful entrepreneur once started with a single step. She shared stories of her own challenges, moments of doubt, sleepless nights, and the joy of small victories. Her vulnerability created a safe space where these mothers felt seen, heard, and empowered. Hands raised, voices rose with confidence as they envisioned futures filled with possibility. The room buzzed with energy and hope, a testament to the transformative power of education and community. Monique smiled, knowing this was more than just a class, it was a lifeline for women determined to rewrite their stories. Each woman left with new skills, but more importantly, with renewed faith in themselves and their dreams. As she packed up her materials, Monique felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She wasn't just teaching business, she was nurturing resilience, courage, and the spark of independence. In this room, futures were being rebuilt, one lesson at a time, fueled by the unstoppable strength of mothers ready to rise.